Good morning, everybody. This is Study Guide with Joe. I was off for a couple of weeks. Now I'm back with a brand new scripture called Family Business. The first title is How to Raise Kids. Paul writes it in three different types of Paul. And when Paul writes it about how raising kids, this is what he says. Let's jump into the word and let's see what Paul says. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. This is what Paul says. Children, it is your Christian duty to obey your parents, for this is the right thing to do. Respect your father and mother. It's the first commandment that has a promise added, so that all my go go with you, and you may live a long time in the land. Parents, do not treat your children in such a way as to make them angry. Instead, raise them with Christian discipline and instruction. So Paul gives you three T's. Three T's. First one, when you have small children, we train small children to understand what's right from wrong. Second, so the first one, they had to learn how to respect the parents, the father and mother. Second one, when they become teenagers, teach the teenagers how to honor the father and mother with all love and respect. Because that way they have a healthy life when they have their own kids growing up. When they become a young adult, any silly decision they make and knowing it's not a good decision, we can't get them angry and get them attitudes. And because also when you're a young adult, we do a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I did a lot of mistakes when I was younger, but I didn't have my father or mother around to show me the mistakes, to correct the mistakes. You know, don't provoke them and call them names. Something they try to learn how to do things on their own. So this is the stuff that we need to accomplish to how to raise our kids. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, Solomon talks about how to deal with kids and how to do things the way it should be dealt with. And 22 verse 6, this is what Solomon says. Teach a child how he should live, and he will remember it all his life. So he taking what Paul says in chapter 6 and verse 1. Train them when they're young. Train them, because you know how we tell kids, you guys want, but you guys not giving us the respect that we deserve and understanding that we deserve. Because God says when they hit the age of 20, it's the legal age. We're going to get to that. So this is the stuff that they need to understand, that this is the way we should live our life, with love, understanding, and respect. And Proverbs chapter 23, verse 13-14, Solomon said, do not be hasty to discipline a child. A good spanking won't kill him. As a matter of fact, it may save his life. So, we can actually spank our kids, but don't overdo it. When children and they do something wrong, we spank their hand or they spank their little hiney. To teach them, you can't do this the way you want to do it. And then when they become teenagers, we can get them a little spank to understand. You can't make decision that's bad or understand it's bad. But when they become young adults, that's when we have to start training them with trust and understanding. And they're going to remember that for the rest of their life. They say, yeah, I remember when I got a spanking because I was doing things the wrong way. Now, Proverbs 13 and verse 24. 13 verse 24. Solomon continues, says, this is what he says, chapter 13 verse 24. He says, if you do not punish your son, you don't love him. If you do love him, you will correct him. So, Solomon says, listen, everything we do for our kids, it's not because we hate them or disrespect them. It's that we need to show them that we love him no matter what he does. Whatever problem, the issues he's going to be having. Because sometimes we have kids that doesn't want to listen to the parents, and then they spoil you, and guess what? And then everybody looking at you, wow, you can't discipline your child, but yet you want to discipline everybody else. You see, this is the thing that people don't understand. we have to punish our kids if they do wrong. But if they don't do wrong, we can't punish them because we have to hear both sides of the story. Numbers chapter 1 verse 3. Moses says like this in verse 3. When they turn 20 years old or older, who are fit for military service. So Moses says when they be at a legal age, they could do anything they want to do. They could join the army service. They could go and do their own thing. But they had to be mindful of the trust that the parents give the young adults. And he continues in Numbers chapter 14, verse 29 to 32. And 20 says, you will die, and your corpse will be scattered across this wilderness, because you have complained against me. None of you over 20 years of age will enter that land. I promise to let you live there, but not one of you will accept. Caleb and Joshua, you said that your children could be captured, but I will bring them into the land that you reject, and it will be their home. You will die here in this wilderness. See, Moses, when he said it, Moses says, hey, you consider things that you complain about what God gives you, and then you show the kids how to be selfish. When they become older and young adults, they're gonna get everything that you couldn't get because you always complaining about everything. And so we can't teach our kids how to be selfish. We can't teach our kids how to be nitpicking or complain about everything that they don't even work for. That's why God says when they hit the age of 20, that's the legal age, and let them decide for themselves. If they make a bad decision, then let them make the bad decision. This is the way we have to live our life. And look at the book of Job. When Job's kids disrespect them, and God shall let the enemy come take them away and kill them. Look at Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your father and mother. And this is the part of teaching how to raise the kids. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9. And this is what Moses keeps on saying. Be on your guard. Make correct that you do not forget as long as you live what you have seen with your own eyes. Tell your children and your grandchildren. So, Moses says, the discipline comes in when we start training the kids. And then when they become teenagers, we have to be more stricter on the rules. And that's what Moses says. We have to do all this. Because when they get old enough, they understand from right from wrong. They can teach their own kids how to do things right. Sometimes we can teach our kids to do the right thing because they always want to do everything they think they know. And that's not right. So that's when God says when they hit the age of 20, they're going to make their own decision. If it's a bad decision, they're going to make bad decisions. You have to let them learn how to make their own bad decisions. And in Deuteronomy 56, verse 7, Moses still continues. In verse 7, he says, teach them to your children to repeat them when you are at your own resting and when you are working. See, again, Moses says this is the way we should train our kids. This is the way we have to train our kids, because if we don't train our kids now, they will never learn how to do things on their own. They will never understand why. That's why it's like eat, sleep, and repeat. Eat, sleep, and repeat. So, and that's why the 3 T's comes in. Train your children. Teach your teenagers. Trust your youngest. Now, Exodus chapter 30, verse 14. And this is how when your kids become 20 years old, this is how they have to pay the bills. And in verse 14, he says, everyone began to continue in the sense that its very man, 20 years old or older, is to pay me this amount. So if they get themselves a job, and they need to get a job when they finish college, or when they finish doing things they need to do when they get to the real world, they're not going to be ready because we didn't train them how to be ready on the real world. But if we do it, I mean, I'm reading from the Bible. If we do this now, they will understand. You know, you finish college, you go on your way, get a job. And then once you get a job, you can go get an apartment, cars and stuff. So Moses says, this is like I'm renting to you. I'm renting you the forest. I'm renting you things. This is the stuff the kids have to learn on their own. When to pay the bills on time, when the rent is due, when the car payment is due. This is an amount, because they're gonna say, well, mommy and daddy took care of me, but when they get to the real world, they're gonna have to understand. They have to fall back on the teaching and the training when they was younger, saying, okay, my dad had a list. This he had to pay, this I had to pay, he does have to pay, this I have to pay. Mommy had to do this, do this, do this, do that, to do things the right way, but they understand. It's not easy for us, but to raise them. But then they have to take our position to do the right thing and do it on their own. Luke chapter 2, verse 42 to 46. And this is about Jesus. And it says, when Jesus was 20 years old, they went to the festival. And usually, when the festival was over, they started back home. But the boy Jesus stood in Jerusalem. His parents did not know this. They thought that he was with the group of the travelers a whole day, and then started looking for him among the relatives and friends. They did not find him, so they went back to Jerusalem looking for him. On the third day, they found him in the temple, sitting with the Jewish, teaching and listening to them, and asking questions. So Jesus made a perfect example. Jesus did a perfect example. He went and stood in Jerusalem, and the parents said, let's go. But Jesus at that time, he was 20 years old, because he wanted to know what they were teaching. And the one thing that Jesus did was, it's okay to ask questions. We have to let our kids to ask questions when they're small, when they become teenagers, when they become young adults. They can ask the questions. Sometimes we don't have the answers to answer the questions. But we have to let them ask us the questions. That way we can try to work and try to do our best to understand these questions for them. But sometimes parents says, don't ask me no question because I don't want to hear nothing about the questions. And then they feel left out, thinking that they don't want to, that we don't want them to know about the questions or the answers. Now, Judges chapter 14, verse 4, this is Samson's parents. And this is what happened. He says, his parents did not, Okay, verse 3 says, but his, this is about Samson's parents, and this is what he said. Verse 1 through 4. It said, one day Samson went down to Tamar, where he noticed a Caucasian Philistine girl. He went back home and told his father and mother, there is a Philistine girl down in Tamar who caught my attention. Get her for me. I want to marry her. But his father and mother asked him, why do you have to go to those heathens, the Philistines, to get a wife? Can you find a girl in your own clean among all your people? But Samson told his father, she is the one I want you to get for me. I like her. His parents did not know that it was the Lord who was listening Samson to do this, for the Lord was looking for a chance to fight the Philistines at this time. The Philistines were rulers of Israel. Now see, this is the one thing that people get mixed up. So Samson decides to tell his parents, I like the girl likes me, and I like to be with her, but I need you guys to help me with that situation and help me with the love that I need. Because if I don't get the love that I need, I can never get nothing back. So the parents, because some parents would agree on who you date and you don't date. And Samson is dying to date this girl. And she was put the enemy cap. God was teaching Samson at this time. I think Samson was a teenager. God was saying, listen, you can't marry this girl because she's not for you. So he's going to keep on until he gets what he wants. Sometimes we can't get our kids what they want. If they fall in love with a girl, then she or he is not the one for your child, why are you going to keep on nagging your parents on? Because we know the best for the kids. We know if they're good enough for your kids. Sometimes some girls will run over get married for spite. Sometimes the guys get married for spite also. And that's when the cheating goes out the window, the training goes out the window, because they think they know more than their parents do. But when actually they don't know nothing, because they're still wet behind the ears and they're still learning. So our job is to train them, teach them, and trust them to make the right decision. Matthew chapter 23, verse 8 to 10. And this is what Jesus says. You must not be called teacher, because you are all both of one another and have only one. Anyone here on earth, Father, because you have only the one Father in heaven. Then should you be called a leader, because your one and only leader is the Messiah. So Jesus says you only have one Father, and that's God. He said anybody takes you to a different religion and tells you something different, he's not the Father that you expect. Meaning, you're still a child and you're still learning, but yet you're calling somebody else Father. You still calling somebody else Padre. You only have one Father, and that's God. God teach, train, and understanding. That's why God gives us so much trust that we still fall behind the issues. That's why Paul wrote 3 things in the book of Ephesians. Train your child. When your child becomes a teenager, teach your child. And then when you're a teenager become a young adult, trust your child. Now I like it how Paul says it in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. He says, when I was a child, my speech, feelings, and thinking were all those of a child. Now that I am a man, I have no more use for childish ways. What we see now is like a diamond image in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. What I know now is only practical, that it will be complain as God knows, knowing of me. Okay. Paul says, when I was a child, I acted like a child, I acted like a fool. Now when I'm a man, I put all the childish things away. Okay, now I'm a young man, and I have to put all my childish ways put away for everybody to understand what I'm teaching. Sometimes we have to teach our kids not to be foolish when they grow up. And when we start now. That's how we raise our kids. Like Simon said, it's good to spank them, but not overdo it. Moses says, teach them when they go on their own, they know how to pay bills on their own. That's why you can't be like Samson to get what he wants when he can't get it. Because the girl, he don't know how to date. He assumes he knows, but he doesn't know. And that's why Jesus says, you only have one Father. And that Father had to teach. Or the mother had to teach. So that's the one thing they have to do. This is Study with God with Joe. See you next week. Godspeed.